So we've all heard the various cliches saying things like you can't profit from backing short price favourites within racing, and to some extent that's partially true because short prices are often closely aligned to their actual probable chance of winning. However, sports trading is different and it's possible to consistently win through backing a short price favourite with a few extras, as I'm going to show you in this week's upload. So as Capablanca, the Grand Chess Master, says, it's best to begin with the end in mind if you truly want to succeed, and it's the same in sports trading. It's very strategic. So I've got a pretty consistent routine where each and every day I wake up, one of the very first things I do is I check the marketplaces that are on offer in the horse racing throughout the day, particularly the favourites within each race, and I'm looking for imbalances or differences in the marketplace that could be potentially exploited. Now at this point I don't place a penny, I'm just looking for imbalances. I'll then go on to look at places like the Racing Post whilst I'm having my Weetabix, whatever I'm doing, and looking for potential sentiment that will be exhibited in the marketplace as a result of a common line of thinking amongst a large group of people that are interested in horse racing. Now to do this there are several different things that I will focus on predominantly. Now first of all I'll look at something like the Racing Post, I'll look at some different sources out there, maybe Timeform, at the races. I've got a separate video on that on the channel also, we'll leave in the end screen here. But I'll compare them against each other in order to see if there's any differences in specific areas once I've already pinpointed them based on stuff that I've seen in the marketplace. Okay, so we're working backwards here. So the first thing that I look at is the marketplace, I look at the prices, I look at the favourites, I look particularly at the short price favourites and the races where they're like cavalry charges, and there's larger price favourites also. The stuff in the middle I'm less interested in unless I see high volume early on. So volume is really important. There's a separate video about graphs and charts on this channel also, but the volumes on the graphs and the early money is very important for me in terms of starting to form that initial opinion. Again, still at this point I haven't placed a bet, but what I'm asking myself is, are these favourites overbet or are they underbet? Now if they're overbet we'll be looking to take the drift on, and if they're underbet and particularly a larger price of one of those cavalry charge type situations, we'll be looking to back the horse early on. So we're looking for an imbalance in the marketplace where it's priced wrong, and we're then going to look at the sentiment in the marketplace, what the overall crowd, the wisdom of the crowd is actually doing. And then the next question becomes, how far can this thing move? Which is very important. Again, thinking of the end in mind before we begin. So if we've got a very short price favourite like this one that I'll share on screen with you now, then how far can this potentially go? It could contract from 1.7 down to as far as 1.5, maybe even 1.4 if it's a heavy gamble, but it's not going to go further than that. The good news is at these short prices, each tick increment, the difference between two price points, is actually worth a large percentage in terms of the overall marketplace overround. Now that's a lot of big words there for people that don't normally do trading, but basically what I'm saying is the tick increments at the shorter end of the scale are worth a lot more than the tick increments at the larger end of the scale. But the point here is marketplace characteristics and limitations. How far can it go? What characteristics are exhibited that are going to allow us to exploit, as I'll show you in this example on screen now, and we'll show you how it unfolds also in just a second. So on this particular morning I've looked at the opening shows, I've seen some early sentiment, I've seen there's a little bit of money for this favourite. Looking at the other race runners within the race, they're extremely weak, means nothing's going to take it on in terms of price movement. Okay, there's no competition for the prices to be shortening, so it's a case of all interest is on the favourite, very little interest elsewhere. Yes, it's at short price, so I'm already thinking ahead, thinking look, this can only go to potentially 1.5, but I back it in the morning shows. Now the morning shows are very important. Again, there's another video on this channel about that, but the morning shows is when there's a lot of change, a lot of indecision, so speed is a large part of this. Backing at the right time is important because the bookie's going to put their prices up, the marketplace is going to alter, jitter around a little bit, and we're looking to take the value out of the existing offering that's there on the exchanges. So I back this favourite Southfield Harvest in the anticipation that the price is going to continually shorten and there's not going to be support for other runners within the marketplace. Once the trade is open, £250 may seem like a lot of money here, guys. It's really not, because we're not betting £250 on the outcome. We are betting the amount of difference increments and the price increments on the side of the ladder you can see there on the exchange software. So we're on for 250, which is worth about £1.50 a tick. If it moves 5 ticks, then we're going to get £1.50 times 5 or thereabouts. So later on that morning, I'll come back and check periodically. I'll be doing this on multiple markets at the same time, particularly on drifters also. There's several videos on the channel showing stuff like this. And I'm managing the risk and reward at that point in time. So if sentiment changes or another runner is backed heavily, then I'm going to close out from a trade. I'm not going to close out because of the profit. I'm not going to close out because of the loss. I'm going to close out because the market situation has changed. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, assuming that all goes well over a period of time, we're going to come back to the race around about 30 minutes before the start of the race, because we don't want to get caught up in the live shows. Explained in the graphs and charts video on this channel, the live shows are almost like a separate market. They obviously are the same market. There's the same interest there a lot of the time, but things can turn on their head very quickly because a large volume of money is going to come to the marketplace. There's going to be bookies hedging their position. There's going to be bigger traders turning up. There's going to be people having their bets later on, and there's going to be people, more importantly, placing their bets whilst watching the racing channels, the overall larger demographic. So why do we exit there? We exit there because we don't want to get caught up in the live shows. But the whole idea of this is find a decent entry where we've got low risk for an increased reward, and that can happen on a short price favourite, and they often contract. You'll see that there's a lot of attention, a lot of focus. All the mug punters out there like to have their money on the short price favourites, which can push them in even further sometimes. But we're going to open at a point of exploitation that's going to be of low risk to us, let it pan out, monitor and manage this risky position, and then close out before things get crazy, locking in the profit as we have done on screen here for a very easy £20 before the race has even started. Now, if you want to learn more about sports trading pre-race and on other sports, then also please check out my blog, my website, caanberry.com. We'll put a link in the description down below. There's some courses there which will help you further your knowledge, take the shortcut, make life a lot easier if you want to progress your sports trading knowledge. That said, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, so I want to be completely honest, full disclosure here. It will take a little bit of time and effort learning, understanding and developing your skill set, because this is more of a skill. This is not taking a punt, putting your money down and then hoping that the horse is going to come up with the goods. It's far more analytical and thought out than that in many senses. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to tap the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, and also watch one of these videos here in the end screen. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it.